Welcome to We Talking About Sports, where we're here to talk about the NFL season that has come and gone. Boys, a whole season has gone. It's flown by. It's been 3 years that we started doing this, talking around about the NFL, other sports. Three.
What was that,
You
Justin?
were, yeah, your mic was messing up
Yeah,
a
you're
bit.
like,
Just
oh.
My bad, my bad. Can you believe it's been 3 years already, boys, that we've been talking about the NFL?
Man,
since
it
COVID.
flew by like a flash of blink of an eye or whatever you call it. It just went by really fast, but been really fun. But I can believe it. Like Ben said, I can believe it. Consistency though, we've gotten it down. I like it though.
Ron, what about you? 3 years have gone by.
Yeah, 3 years have gone by. We haven't talked about the Cowboys in February. All in those 3 years, shit, barely even talk about them in January. So, but it's time to move on. It's time to be strong.
Time to move on from the Cowboys or just the NFL
Time to
season?
move on from this season. I'm fucking done with this season too. Like it was trash, bro. Like everybody got hurt. Fantasy football sucked. Taylor Swift is like part of the NFL now. Patrick Mahomes wins another MVP. Like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. This is like Newton's law this year, and I'm over it, dog. Like I'm glad it's over. I'm not gonna fucking lie. I'm glad it's over. Let's move on to next year. Let's watch some baseball. Ready for some summer ball, some UFC shit like that.
Pitchers and catchers
just
reporting
straight up, I'm
soon,
glad it's
Ron.
over.
I'm pretty sad it's over. I'm gonna miss NFL Red Zone probably the most. I mean, that's probably like the best thing to do is just chill on a Sunday afternoon with Scott Hansen or the other guy. I think they stopped doing it on NFL or the other broadcast, but 12 hours or 11 hours or whatever they call it of commercial free football. Yeah, I'm gonna miss that. Sad it came to an end on Sunday, but it was a good finish. Ready to chop it up with you guys about it.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
what about
glad
you?
it's
You gonna
over
miss this?
too. That opens up Sunday for tea times, bro. You
Yeah.
never go golfing because of football, and now that football's over,
Fair enough.
Sunday's an option.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. I like it.
Well, let's get into this season here, the end. Roland, the Chiefs, they reached dynasty status with this win, and I think now comes the hard part. Reaching the top of the mountain, it's tough. Going back to back is crazy, but the maintenance, being relevant year in and year out, that's the hard part. What do the Chiefs have to do to stay relevant this offseason?
Justin, they're the Chiefs. They just went back to back. They're a dynasty. They've already figured out how to stay relevant. They're currently doing it. They just went back to back. They're the first team to do that since the Patriots in 2003, 2004, I think.
19 years
So
ago.
it's been about 19, 20 years since they've done it. So they've done almost the hardest thing in sports is going back to back. It doesn't happen in the NFL. That's why this league is so tough. You get the target on your back after you win that one, and you see how hard it is to get back there. So I want to give them their flowers. But to answer your question, Justin, maybe this offseason address, some of the issues that people pointed out throughout the year. Pretty obvious. Go get a receiver. There's guys like T. Higgins out there in the open market. See what you can go do. Andy Reid, Travis Kelce already said that they're ready to go back and go for that three-peat. So yeah, I like this Chiefs dynasty. I don't mind Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, I'll give my opinion about the game later. But as far as the Chiefs and their dynasty status, think they've already solidified themselves as a dynasty, and let's see if they can go back to back to back. I don't know if that's ever been done,
Repeat. Never.
but yeah, I got to give them their credit for going back to back in the first place. It's crazy.
Ron, Roland mentioned receivers. The Chiefs, they tried to bring in Kadarius Toney. They tried to get Sky Moore. Both those guys really didn't work out. They were big in the Super Bowl last year, but they didn't play a snap in this season's Super Bowl. What can they bring in that's low cost, low risk? How do they approach this offseason?
I don't think it matters. I mean, they could go get the water boy, and Patrick Mahomes would make him look good. I mean, let's just be honest, dude. I mean,
That's
he's
true.
having Watson caught some
Not
balls
lying.
out there. I mean, these no-name guys. They could go get somebody off the practice squad who already knows the offense. As long as Travis Kelce keeps not getting covered for some damn reason, I don't know why they just leave this guy uncovered all damn game. Then it doesn't matter if there's three other guys out there because he's gonna have 11 catches for 180 yards a game. So I mean, do they need to address stuff? Yeah, they need to. But at the end of the day, whatever's out there, Andy Reid is gonna make it work.
Ben, after the Super Bowl, Kelsey acknowledged that his career is winding down. Can the Chiefs continue to make him the focal point of the offense the way they've done?
Yeah, I think that they have to because they don't really have money to go and pay somebody, big time. Maybe Rashee Rice, year 3, year 4 turns into that guy. Right now, he's still going to play second fiddle to Kelsey. And as far as the receivers, like Ron said, they don't have a lot of money due to the contracts. They have a lot of high paid players, both on defense and offense, with Chris Jones getting paid. So they're just going to they need to piece it up with Kadarius Toney this offseason if they want a three-peat, because he's been on the roster both years that they've gone back to back. He's been on the roster, so you take him off that roster.
But to Ron's point, though, with Mahomes being able to get it done, the past Super Bowls, guys that have scored touchdowns for them, MVS, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, just to name the 3 guys. I mean, Mahomes gets it done with whoever. Would it be nice? McCole Hardman scoring the game-winning touchdown. I don't want to forget that. So, yeah, Mahomes just finds a way to get it done.
Jerick McKinnon last year was killing it out of the backfield. It's like I don't know what's an NBA team that doesn't have stars, but they just win. Like they're like a unit,
And
well, the Spurs back in the day, I would say.
There you go. That's what I was gonna say.
Roland might say,
I didn't want to say
stars on the team,
but it could also
that
be
felt like a unit.
Like Brady before getting Moss, bro. Like, I mean, I know that he had Tyreek, right? But his stats aren't eye-popping this year because the offensive weapons aren't there. They're having to win different type of football games, right? They're having to manage the amount of possessions instead of just going up and down the field like they used to with Tyreek. So, if they're able to somehow get, one of those receivers that'll just go maybe chase a ring, maybe that way, but I feel like it's Brady before Moss. Like the offense just goes, but it's just like a professional offense. Like it goes, and when they have the ball and they need to make a play at the end, they do it, but it's not like blow you out of the water anymore.
And they don't make mistakes, man. That's a damn thing with them.
Well, Pacheco ran hard, but he did cough it up, early. That was, I didn't expect him to cough it up.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just so pissed.
Well, let's talk about the MVP, Patrick Mahomes. Ben, you did mention, it wasn't Patrick Mahomes, best season. It's Patrick Mahomes' probably statistically worst season, and he won the Super Bowl. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that just goes to, like I said, finding different ways to win and kind of molding the offense to where every single possession really matters, instead of just, we can score in 2 or 3 plays like the Chiefs of the past. So Andy Reid, I mean, they said he's the greatest coach of all time. Now with these titles, if he definitely gets 3, I mean, he might be up there. I know a lot of people are just off that Belichick sauce, due to what happened with him after Brady left. But, when we're talking about accolades, it's probably still Bill Belichick, but Andy Reid's definitely, knocking at the door. And I think a 3-peat, it's Andy Reid, bro. That offense they find a way. They find a way.
I'm going to step in here because, dude, they got lucky, bro. I mean, the AFC this year was weak. I mean, let's be honest. They were weak, but they got where they were because everybody else was weak too. No Burrow for the Bengals. Steelers have always been trash. Joe Flacco was out there for the Browns. We know, Josh Allen's a choke artist over there.
I mean, they probably had the toughest road. I got to stop you there because you're sounding
road
crazy right now, Ron.
Let's
just
bro, it's
stop.
True,
yeah,
bro.
They went on the
It's
road.
true.
They beat the 1 seed. They beat the Bills at home.
Who didn't have a defense. They were playing their JV defense. The Dolphins' defense was bagged up. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt for the Jets, which everybody thought was going to be a real big contender early in the year. Russ is over there with the Broncos not doing a damn thing. The Chargers trash as always. I mean, we saw the Texans, bro, with CJ Stroud do something this year in the AFC. Now, if that doesn't go to show that all those other teams were mid and mediocre, then, I mean, I don't know what does if you're going to get this rookie quarterback coming in here and going to the divisional.
I mean, someone had to win the AFC South. It's not the greatest division, so I don't think that's a big statement. But I was going to go to you next anyway, and I was going to say on the opposite end, at his best, Patrick Mahomes has won the Super Bowl. So we see him at his lowest. We see him at his best. What does that mean to you, Ron?
No, I mean, play the play the soundbite. If you want to crown him, crown him. Because he's going to be up there. I mean, we talked about it last show, and I'm not going to beat it like a dead horse. He's going to be the GOAT. I don't think he'll be the GOAT. I think Brady, 10 Super Bowls. I mean, that's insane. So, yes, he is 27, whatever. But he's going to be that LeBron Jordan situation with Brady. I give the guy all his flowers. I mean, I really do. The guy gets dubs. He's like the Kobe. He gets you wins, and you want the ball in his hands at the end of the day. But he's just like a guy that I don't know, man. I just don't like him. Like, fuck, I'll say it. Like, personally, like, I just don't like the dude. Like, how you gonna root for this kid? Like, he's kind of like a nerd, bro. I don't know.
He seems like he's kind of
Like,
likable.
this is gonna be like a real personal show for me. Like, I don't care. Like, the
Ron's
stats are
showing
out
a
the
lot of
window. This
emotion,
show.
wearing his emotion
Be
on
real.
his
That's
sleeve.
fine. Be real. I like when you're real. Roland, let's talk about the conversions in the game. 4th and 1, he converts. 3rd and 6, and 3rd and 1. I mean, talk about being clutch in the clutchest moment, Roland.
Yeah, and those are backbreakers too. When you talk about the defense, you work all drive to get those stops, and when you have Patrick Mahomes who's consistently converting like that, yeah, it's hard to get stops like that for sure.
All right. And this one's just a fun question for you guys, and I've been seeing it on different shows. I wanted to, get y'all's opinion. The closest comparison to Patrick Mahomes across the sports landscape right now, currently, who is like Patrick Mahomes? Whether it be hockey, baseball, football, or basketball. Who can you compare to Patrick Mahomes right now? Where is he at on the relevancy point?
Michael Jordan.
Well, currently playing.
There's nobody.
Like,
it's him. It's him.
It's just him right now, right?
Yeah, it's
Ben, you gotta
Curry's-
say something. Chime
Curry's
in here,
past his
Ben. Whenever you're
prime.
ready, Ben. Chime in.
I mean,
Depends
I'm
on-
trying to think, bro.
It's hard,
I
right? Like the guy's on his own island.
I don't know if he's definitely, I don't know on his own island, but maybe like, I know it's just hard because nobody has like 3 titles like he does. But I mean, Jokic, Jokic, I feel like everybody just thinks is way better than, the competition and like is very consistent in that manner. So
If Jokic
That's-
gets one more, I could put him there.
that's where I would go.
Especially if he
Like
goes
not
back to back.
currently, but like recently, I would say Steph, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You know,
I would say Steph. I would say LeBron if you were to go like that route. But
like
Kinda
Because he
one of
also
the last
like
one who's
changed
winning
the
titles
NFL the
now.
way people give Steph all that credit for changing the NBA. I
Mm-hmm.
think, I don't know about changed it, but he definitely brought back that really backyard theme and, unorthodox throws and all that shit that plays well with ESPN and the
sidearm
highlights.
throws, yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, it wasn't all Mahomes. The Chiefs defense. We got to highlight the defense. Andy Reid did make that, one memeable quote. How about that D afterwards? And that went crazy. In Spags we trust. That was the mantra for the Chiefs through the postseason. This is his 4th title as a defensive coordinator. I mean, with that guy coming back next year, I can't believe he's not a head coach, Ron.
I mean, does he want to be? Well, I guess every coach wants to be, right? You want to be at the top of the mountain, but if you can kick back and just let Andy Reid do his thing and you do your thing, and I think the relationship works really well. We see a lot of coordinators not work out. They always want to, fight or go, back and forth. Whoever has, the bigger say in the team. But I mean, man, when you're rolling like this, do you want to get off the train and go somewhere else? I mean, why not kick back and just keep on winning and keep on getting paid? I mean, it's Jones here was like, dude, this guy was like a man amongst the boys out there.
Yeah, he was a man possessed.
Not just the scheme that they were running, but he made a lot of it happen. And the corners did well too. I mean, there was a lot of shutdown stuff, but it's, I guess we'll get to it later when we talk about Purdy, but to me, it's more of like the Niners didn't come through on a lot of big plays here.
Roland, how much of this Super Bowl victory do you credit towards this defense, this elite defense?
I don't want to get into like percentages and stuff, but I give them a good percentage of the credit for winning this game. And I talked about it last week, and I said what it was going to come down to was the Chiefs defense making enough plays to give the Chiefs offense enough opportunities themselves to score points and to get into the end zone. And we saw it with the game. I mean, just talking about the game itself, like what happened on Sunday. I mean, it was like 6 or 7 punts in the first half. I mean, both teams were struggling. Both teams were kind of shooting themselves in the foot. But, to answer your question again, the Chiefs defense played a big part in that as far as, holding up the 49ers. They forced a fumble on Christian McCaffrey in the first half. The 49ers didn't score in the first half if it wasn't for that crazy trick play with Jennings throwing it across the field to CMC and, breaking it across the field for a touchdown, which had Jennings looking like he might have won Super Bowl MVP for a little bit. It was crazy. At 300 to 1 odds, people were talking about that. Jennings being the favorite, at the third quarter point in the game or something like that. So the Chiefs defense made enough clutch plays. We talk about Brock Purdy. I know Ron mentioned him. He'll have some points to talk about later, but the Chiefs defense, they did enough to fluster him too. I mean, he showed last game that he, was making plays with his feet, and he even did in this game too, flashed a little bit and made some pretty clutch plays on his legs. But when it got down to it, the Chiefs defense got enough pressure. Credit to Spags. He was consistently changing it up throughout the playoffs. You saw how confused he had the Ravens all game last or 2 weeks ago. And then you see it again this week, doing just enough to give that Chiefs offense enough time to, get it together and get enough scoring drives going. So yeah, credit to the Chiefs defense, credit to Spags too, for sure.
Ben, during the Super Bowl, Roland mentioned we saw a lot of punting in the first half. It seemed like there were, fourth and short situations where Andy Reid was comfortable punting because he knew what defense he had out there. How much of the Super Bowl victory do you credit towards this defense?
A lot of it, especially on third down, because if you look at the third down advantage, that's where they had them. So for them, it was like bend but don't break. And then on third down, they were bringing a lot of pressure. And that's where I think Ron's going to get into, Purdy missing some of those throws. Jennings could have been, accountable for 3 touchdowns if he doesn't get missed on that wide open throw late, a little bit of pressure. But if we look at the third downs, I think they converted on 1 third down in the entire game, the 49ers. So
3 for
they
12.
were dialing up that pressure. And I feel like they were definitely playing that, even in overtime, bend but don't break. They got into the red zone, started bringing pressure, made them kick a field goal. So it was just like that. A lot of bend but don't break. They weren't blitzing on early downs. It was always on third down.
Anybody else want to talk about the Chiefs defense before we move on here?
No, just real quick, but that goes to I know we're gonna get to the coach next, but like you guys pointed out, Spags was on his game, and you just felt the Niners couldn't do anything to respond and to react to what they were doing, and that goes to coaching, And then on that play in overtime, when they were driving and they get inside the 10 or maybe the 15, there was a stupid holding call because Kittle was off the field hurt. Couldn't even backup tight end goes in there, for a holding call, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 14, and then it just here's the damn field goal. But it happens, man.
Yeah. And I'll say too, shout out to the Chiefs defense, because for a lot of the season, even throughout the postseason, this defense really wasn't getting their credit. Because I mean, it's the Chiefs, right? They're really not known for having a good defense, but throughout the year, that was their calling card. That's why they found themselves here, because the defense consistently did enough to allow, Patrick Mahomes to do his thing. But I do want to shout out a couple players on their team, because I think they really did their thing in terms of when you talk about handling the 49ers skill players. I mean, really, looking back into the box score, the only guy that really got off was CMC a little bit. And then they really held Kittle in check. I think he only had 2 catches, and they held Debo in check. I think he was 3 for 11 in terms of targets, I think, at one point in the game. I don't know how many
catches.
Yeah, so they definitely did a key drop too, Ron. Good point. But the corner, McDuffie and Reed definitely did their thing all season. Sneed too, confused the rookie with the corner with the safety. But yeah, those guys definitely loaded on defense, low key. So the Chiefs are going to find themselves here again. I don't know about Super Bowl, but definitely AFC Championship game. I mean, that's where they're at every year.
I mean, you have to pay one of those guys, Roland. Are you paying Chris Jones or L'Jarius Sneed? I don't think they can take both of them next year.
They just paid Jones, didn't they?
No, that was franchise tag. He's gonna need a contract, and he wants Aaron Donald money.
They're gonna have to tag somebody.
Ben, what'd you say?
No, that's why earlier when I was talking about Jones, I feel like now they have to pay him. Like you just went back to back. You saw how good he did. I don't know if you franchise tag him back to back years as a interior defensive lineman. That's pretty dirty. But You know, they talk about how it's a business.
Yeah. I think you signed Chris Jones over Snead. You have the other what was his name? The other corner. And you've been
I
pretty
don't know,
good at
but
drafting corners, so I think you go Jones. I think Jones is so hard to replace, right?
And he was more involved, like the play where they threw it to Valdez Scantling like on a screen, and Valdez Scantling like tripped and then ran backwards for like 4 or 5 yards. You saw him like come off the bench like all pissed off, like, dude, what are you doing?
He's a leader on that
So,
team,
and
Ron.
yeah, dog, like
That
100%.
kept Valdez Scantling from hitting his over on yards because he went back and lost 8 yards on that play. And another dirty one was the Brock Purdy rushing. He had it, and then he took a knee on the last play of the regulation, lost a yard, and it lost by the hook. Dirty.
All right, well, let's move over to Andy Reid, and this one is for the chat. Whoever's in the chat right now, we are going to ask you this question. Where does Andy Reid rank all-time among head coaches? Ben, I'll go to you first. Where is he on the pantheon of coaches, 1 through 10? Where do you have him on?
Andy Reid? I think, I haven't given it too much thought. To be honest, he's definitely top 5 at this point. Mm-hmm. You know, not too many coaches get the back-to-back. I know we talked about earlier about there being some chatter about, or I said, though I've seen chatter about him being the greatest coach, and obviously his Chiefs players are the ones saying that, after winning, but still have Belichick at number 1, and I think Andy Reid is, can fill in there at 2 or 3, but he's definitely made a name for himself. It's great to have a quarterback like Mahomes and that chemistry, the consistency. So Andy Reid, I think definitely he has a chance of going down. If we're talking about Mahomes possibly going down as a GOAT, then if Andy Reid's it's probably going to be because Andy Reid's still at the helm, and that relationship is just going to reach levels that we haven't seen. So Andy Reid would then beat out Belichick as well. So he's in the running, not the greatest of all time yet, but definitely at like 2 or 3.
Ron, what about you? Where's he at the top, for you?
I don't know about, the Tom Landrys and the Vince Lombardis, because obviously we weren't even born. So it's hard to speak on those guys. But at least since I've watched football, since my, early guys, the only guys that I remember is like Jimmy Johnson, Andy Reid, and Bill Belichick. And Jimmy Johnson, let's not forget too. He won those back-to-back Super Bowls, and then Barry Switzer came in, but he was a great coach for a limited amount of time. So, answering your question about Andy Reid in my lifetime, I would say top 3 easy. Overall, I would say top 5 with all the OGs back in the 60s and the 70s who were creating some of the systems that are in play today.
Roland, what about you? Where does he rank among all-time head coaches?
Like Ben, not something I give too much thought to, but I'll probably go like top 5 to 10. I haven't really given it too much thought, but just to give Andy Reid his flowers, I mean, he's been the model of consistency, like Ron said, since we've been alive, watching football. Andy Reid has always consistently been a top 3 head coach in the NFL, and that says a lot for how long that he's been doing it. For the longest time, he was just missing those rings, and he finally got his validation a couple of years ago. When he linked up with Pat Mahomes. But even without Mahomes, Andy Reid was a culture builder. You saw what he had in Philadelphia. Just, he was there for damn near 20 years. So, things
like
are obviously going to
NFC championship games. He went
5 straight NFC championship with Donovan McNabb. Just could never get it done. Ran into Tom Brady, another dynasty. So, it's only right that, in the circle of his career, he faced one dynasty and then he comes around and, he's the dynasty of his own, kind of at the end. So cool little full circle moment for Andy Reid, but definitely top 5 coach for what he's done throughout his career. Just model of consistency throughout. I mean, he's hardly ever had a losing year. I can't remember maybe a year or two with Philly, but I really can't remember a team that he's been a part of that missed the playoffs severely or was not competitive. So Andy Reid, stud for sure as a coach.
He's over 600 regular season, postseason, and his whole career. He's over 600 winning percentage.
And he loves his cheeseburgers. And he loves his cheeseburgers, just like me. So I gotta side with my guy.
There we go.
Hey, and screw Travis Kelce for bumping into him.
Yeah, that was wild. Exactly.
Out,
that was one of the wilder moments of the Super Bowl because things weren't going so well, and that play was a fumble. But yeah, Andy Reid again, just kind of just shrug it off, was just whatever. Probably
Stay
doesn't go
focused.
down well with any other coach or any other organization. I saw some
Or
players tweeting about that.
Winning cures all, right? So that's
Yeah,
the
let's
sort
just
of
Yeah,
say it,
exactly.
Roland. It doesn't go down with any other receiver, dog. AJ Brown said it best, and even Tyreek retweeted that.
Yeah,
If it was
AJ
one-
Brown
he's
was like,
if
I'd
it
probably
was
be
one
out the
of
league.
us, I'd buy out the league. If that was AB, oh, imagine, bro. No, hombre. They would have arrested him on the sideline.
okay.
That was pretty aggressive, honestly. He's like, hey man, I got
What's up,
Taylor
Tommy?
Swift up here. You can't be doing me like this.
I gotta perform for one of them girls out there. All right, the OT blunders, man. We gotta talk about the other coach a little bit. Kyle Shanahan, unfortunately, he proved once again why he is one of the worst big game coaches in the NFL history. That's
Yeah.
3 games in Super Bowl that he's given double-digit leads, guys. And I want to overreact. I want to overreact to get with, and I want to go to Ben because he seems like he wants to say something. Should his seat be a little hotter after that Super Bowl, Ben?
No, not at all. I feel like this is like Andy Reid before he got his quarterback, bro. Like, we just talked about
Okay.
Andy Reid being consistent, and that's all that Shanahan has done, even gone to the Super Bowl. But, he hasn't had that franchise quarterback. The 49ers just haven't found that under his tenure there. So the OT blunder, I don't know if he went and admitted it, but I also heard like, we want to go first. That way it's less pressure on Purdy. If they go out there and get a touchdown, he's then, if he has the ball first and we're driving and we score. But that was my explanation. And then even if the Chiefs got a field goal or a touchdown, they were going to get the ball back, right? So I don't know if the OT blunder was such a blunder. I don't mind getting the ball first and going first if it means, both teams are going to get it and you have that quarterback who the lights you think might be getting a little too bright for, as we saw Purdy, his play went down a bit later in that game in the fourth quarter, missing some throws. So I don't think that the OT thing was such a blunder. Sucks that he couldn't get over the hump again. That's why we went 49ers first half, because he chokes away leads. But I still think Kyle Shanahan is a top 5 coach in the NFL. I do.
You have to think it's a blunder because of the way he coached it in the end. If you knew that Patrick Mahomes was getting the ball second, you cannot kick the field goal there. That was the blunder there. You have to go for it. You hope that your defense, even if you miss, that your defense can stop them. But going for 3, that's where the blunder is.
You got to get your points.
Because
No, Justin, you got to get your
Nah,
points.
bro.
So
Yeah,
you gotta
I
get
totally
your
agree.
They
points.
had just stopped them, before
Yeah, the
regulation.
blunder-
They held them to a field
You
goal.
haven't stopped
Hey,
Mahomes since the
the-
fourth quarter. You don't get the points in that
They
situation.
held them to
blunder-
a field
That's
goal
why
at the
the
end
blunder
of the game.
don't
The
get
blunder
it first.
is opting to
You know
take
what
it
to do.
first. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Not kicking the field
Yeah,
goal.
you
He messed up by
definitely
getting
take
the
the
ball.
points
Blunders.
there.
It's 2 things.
But-
You messed up by not taking the ball, and second you messed up because you went for the field goal.
No.
No,
you're the only one
I
who
think
thinks
you gotta
that
get the
way.
points.
Yeah. You
I mean,
gotta
because
go-
if you
you
miss
gotta
it,
take
they
the
miss
field
it. They
goal.
just got to get the field goal. Yeah, but the game, in itself, just even before getting to overtime, like the 49ers were consistently shooting themselves in the foot the whole game. Like they should have been up a lot more. But you saw the fumble in the beginning of the game. Not all of that is on Shanahan. So I agree with Ben. He doesn't necessarily need to be in the hot seat. He's still a top 5, top 3 coach in the NFL any given Sunday. So not going to go there, but definitely got to start to get on the questioning. Be like, hey, what's up here in these big games? Because I do think 3 games, 10-point leads, like Justin said, or above double digit. You got to answer for it. But the game was freaky too. I mean, the punt return that goes off the guy's ankle, and Ray McLeod saw it, bless his heart, but he wasn't able to pick it up. He ends up fumbling. So not all. I mean, because he saw it, he was aware that it bounced off his
At
players.
first, I was thinking like, "What this idiot?" Then they showed it in slow motion. It's just bless his heart. Like,
yeah, he saw it. He was in a lose-lose situation, but not on Shanahan. But he shouldn't have taken the ball first. I think you gotta let the Chiefs do what they do on offense and see what you have to do. Because I disagree with not that it was Ben's take, but what he was hearing. I think the most pressure is on that first drive. Like you know that you have to do something on that first drive. You know that you do. So every play is super, super tilted. And on the other side with the Chiefs, you're playing in 4-down territory, no matter what the 49ers do. So you're going on 4 downs nonstop. So it's a little bit harder to stop that when you're going for it on 4th down consistently. So I think that gave the Chiefs a little bit of an advantage. Although I do like the new rule, I think it's a little weird that they debut this stuff in the playoffs. Like this was the first time that they used the rule in the Super Bowl. The preparation also comes into hand. Eric Armstead said that the moment that the rules went on the Jumbotron was when he found out about the new overtime rules. So that's never good. The fullback said that he didn't know about the rules. I'm not saying that that's the what determined the winner and loser here, but
maybe
definitely want to be prepared. Well, Shanahan said that that's what his analytics team told him to do, was take the ball. And I was going to say, I like the rule because I just think that a lot of assumptions have to be made to take the ball first and for it to go in your scenarios. Shanahan was saying, well, if we take the ball first and we score a field goal and then they come back and score a field goal or whatever it is, touchdown and a touchdown, the third possession is the game-winning possession, and we want to have that third possession. That's just a lot of assumptions to make. You didn't score a touchdown in your first drive, so you scored a field goal and they came back and beat you. So, crazy game.
The one thing that was tripping me out was the fact that the time was going to run out of the first quarter. And I thought that,
that was throwing me off too.
I was like,
there was no need for a clock. There's really no need for a clock.
Yeah.
The only reason they keep the clock going is because they want to track, this was the longest game in history. So that's the only reason they even do the clock in the overtime with the new rules.
I know Romo was like, a lot of people are getting confused because of the clock, and it's the first quarter of the overtime period. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? But I want to get back to just real quick with the whole Shanahan thing. Besides the overtime, dude, they had 3 yards in the third quarter going into the fourth, I think. They did not feed CMC the ball at all. Romo was like calling for it. Just run the ball. Just run the ball. He even said it. He goes, you have the top running back. You have the offensive player of the year on your team. How are you not giving this guy the ball? And then one of my deals was like, well, yeah, because, they changed their plan. And now the Chiefs are, stopping them, loading the box. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter if they are, if they're not. How are you going to throw on 3 straight downs, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out? And then you have fucking Jennings over here who's a star on your team. So obviously the passing game isn't working. Just feed CMC the damn ball, man. Just give him the rock. You keep Mahomes on the sideline. You get your first downs. You grind it out. And I think that's where the mistake was on the coaching staff and on Shanahan. Is just the second half, bro, they just looked like they got out coached. They look like a deer in the headlights to me, except for the drive that answered the touchdown when the Chiefs took the lead. Other than that drive, the overtime drive, bro, was perfect. That first drive when they stalled out, that drive was perfect. Why? Because they fed CMC the ball, bro. They were driving. So I think a lot of it had to do more with just not feeding CMC the ball, and that's on the coaches. They're the ones.
And I think that's part of the blunder as well. That would be the third blunder in overtime, is that you get to down the field and you don't give CMC the rock. You choose to put it in the game manager, Purdy, when he's only converting 3 for 12. For me, that's 3 blunders in overtime for Shanahan.
Yeah.
Any more blunders before we move on, Justin?
Just what Roland mentioned, multiple 49er players admitting to not being aware of the new rules, man. You have to know the rules before going into it. You have to.
For sure.
That seems like you didn't prepare all the way. I can guarantee you the Chiefs players knew the rules.
I do like the new rules, though. I know I already said it, but I just like knowing that you don't win on the coin toss anymore, right? Yeah, it used to be. Yeah, exactly. More free football, but this new rule is a good rule change for sure.
And I believe that rule does come from the whole Bills and Mahomes game that happened, 2 playoffs ago?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's why the rule gets implemented.
Drive.
What's next?
All right, let's move on to Purdy. Guys, where do we stand on Brock Purdy after the Super Bowl? Going 3 for 12 on third down, trying to force it to Debo, 11 targets, only 3 catches for him. Do you have more questions about him, or do you feel better about Purdy after the Super Bowl?
I don't know if I necessarily feel better about Purdy, but I don't think he's the reason why they lost. You know, he didn't make enough plays for
Agree.
sure. He missed some guys, but he did play well enough. He put them in winning positions. He didn't necessarily lose the game, didn't throw a pick, didn't turn the ball over, made some big plays in the first half. But I don't necessarily feel better. I think they're still kind of in the same position. They know what Purdy does. He's a good, you know, he executes the offense that he's asked to run. He makes the correct reads. So you got to give him his credit there because not everybody can do that, i.e. Jimmy Garoppolo, you know, was turning the ball over, you know, at a pretty rapid rate when he played with the 49ers. But Purdy, a really good operator of the offense. But the one thing that I'm going to say is I don't know if this model is going to work. Like everybody is chasing the, hey, let's win a Super Bowl on the rookie contract. Let's win a Super Bowl with this guy. So pretty soon you're going to have to pay a guy like Purdy. So when you ask me how I feel about him, I'm like, well, you know, he's still playing on his rookie contract. If the 49ers want to still play that game, you know, load the team, try and win a Super Bowl with the quarterback on a rookie contract, or, you know, paying a guy on the cheap, you know, then cool. You know, I think Purdy's the guy to do that. I don't think you move on from him, but I'm going to go. I think they need to move on. I think they need to get, you know, not a grade A quarterback, but pretty close to it. Like, I think they need to get an upgrade over Purdy if they want to win a Super Bowl.
Ben, what about you? Do you have more questions about him, or do you feel better about him?
I agree with his assessment of, you know, winning with the rookie quarterback, and in his case, it's $900,000 a year. It's not even $1 million. And I feel like if you're the 49ers and you've been getting to this point of the season with that, you just, you know, a player or two that changed the game and you're a Super Bowl champ, you're going to write it out until you have to pay him. I think
For sure.
what they should do is bring in, you know, like a Kirk Cousins on maybe like some sort of vet minimum, you know, and at least put some competition there. But Purdy definitely didn't do enough to lose his job, but he just doesn't move the needle at all. Like, yes, they have all these great weapons, but like if shit just breaks down, you know, all those great weapons are done because Purdy's not going to be able to make anything with it. So he just doesn't move the needle at all. He's just, you know, it's a very low ceiling. It's a very low ceiling. He didn't turn the ball over at all, so you gotta, you know, give him kudos for that as well. No interceptions, but didn't do enough to lose his job. But I think that some QB competition would be good.
Ron, what about you? Do you feel better about Purdy after the Super
Hell
Bowl? Or do you
yeah.
kind of have more
Dude.
questions?
I feel better about the kid. He stayed composed. He wasn't taking sacks. You know, they blitzed him like Roland was saying on third down. There was a lot of times where he snuck away from, you know, the receiver. He's not a mobile guy, but he got away from those sacks that lose you 8 to 10 yards. Didn't throw any picks. He threw the ball out of bounds when he needed to. And let's face it, dude, all year we've been saying he has so many weapons. All he has to do is dink and dunk. There was nobody to dink and dunk it to. Kittle, non-existent. Debo was over there throwing himself on the floor with his damn hamstring. There was a play where Purdy hit him on a slant and the ball was a little low, I'm not gonna lie. But if you're Debo, that's a catch that you make, and he had a lot of field in front of him to run. That's a catch that like Kelsey makes, or you know, your receiver that has hands. Ayuk did okay, but I mean, we said it again. I mean, Jawan Jennings was scoring the touchdowns, bro. He was going to be the MVP. When you're like wide receiver 4 is over here helping out your QB, somebody had to step up and make a play, and nobody stepped up for this kid. That's just the way that I look at it. We were high on this offense all year, and he did his job. And to me, nobody else did their job but him and CMC. And let's we don't have a slide on it. But where the hell was Chase Young and Warner and dude? And then the damn Menzel going into the game on the sideline.
Chase Young had a sack.
Chase Young got a sack.
I was going to say Chase Young got a sack. I thought the 49ers pass rush, again, this is why, like, just talking about, like, the game itself, like, I think Purdy played good, but, like, Braun brought up Chase Young. I thought the pass rush for the 49ers was there. Like, they were keeping Mahomes on his back foot a little bit early on. They were doing what they needed to do. The 49ers fumbled this game, honestly, when you think about it. Go ahead, bro.
Go. Sorry. No, sorry.
No,
sorry.
I was gonna say the 49ers they fumbled the game at the end of the day. The Chiefs capitalized because that's what champions do. They take advantage of other people's mistakes. But the 49ers they could have won this game pretty easily, I think, and they let it get away. Like Ron was saying, if you want to crown them. They knew who they were, and we let them off the hook. They let them off the hook. That's exactly what they
I
did.
like that, Roland. That's good.
Yeah.
And the point that I was getting to too, I forgot his name, but dude, how are you gonna mess up and fall and tear your damn Achilles or calf or whatever it was coming off the sideline, bro?
That's unfortunate. That's a bad
That was
break.
going to happen either that play
Like,
or a
come
few plays
on.
down. Because
Dude, as soon as that happened, you could just feel like the momentum shift. And Romo and dude, shout out to Romo and Nance because they called a hell of a game. They were pointing it all out. Okay, this is the backup, and then he's not gonna go here, and he missed his assignment here and that. Dude, you can't do that shit, bro. As soon as that happened, Patrick Mahomes, what did we notice? He was a lot more mobile because those linebackers weren't there. Bosa and Young were, like Roland said, good, containing them in the pocket. They were letting them go to the outside, whatever. But, dude, like, it's like Newton's law again. Everything that could go wrong went wrong for the Niners, bro. Their star-studded outside linebacker just goes down to when they showed the camera on him coming back from commercial break. I'm like, oh my god! Like I thought somebody
they
ran
showed
on the
that live.
field. I don't know what happened, and like he just falls, bro. And then they show, and then, I mean, Kittle was hurt, Debo fell, and I mentioned it earlier. The backup tight end comes in and holding inside the 10. It's just, man.
I think one of their linemen got hurt throughout the game too. One of their linemen ended up on the floor.
But again, the guy in the slide, Purdy,
Feliciano, I think
he didn't do any. Yeah, Feliciano, he didn't do any of that shit. Stayed composed, rookie kid, and let's face it, bro, he did his job. So this loss does not go on his shoulders.
So, Ron, you're good with running it back with Purdy?
Look, between him, Trey Lance, who's not there anymore, obviously, and Jimmy Garoppolo, who would you rather have? I mean, Purdy for sure, in my opinion. So, I mean, he's the starter for the Niners. Maybe he just needs to. Maybe they're the one. We talked about the Chiefs getting some guys off in the offseason. Maybe they're the ones who kind of maybe need a little freshness around or make a huge trade that nobody sees coming,
They're probably going to end up losing Ayuk. I don't think they're going to be able to re-sign him with the cap.
Yeah, I saw you.
Probably Chase Young as well.
Tweet.
Yeah, and the cryptic tweet. That's the thing. The Niners, the roster that they had this season, I don't think you can get better. Like, this is the best roster.
Yeah, they were loaded up. They loaded up. Yeah, they got
this is the most
Young
talent
on a rental on the cheap. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's going to be hard to replicate this roster.
You have linemen calling out each other.
I don't know when.
Did you see that? Feliciano, I think it was him, and Buford, the shout out Buford. I think he's from UTSA, or he might be from I don't know, some connection. But anyways, he was a linebacker, or not the linebacker, the lineman that I don't want to call him out, but he partially missed the blitz that came in on that third down play that forced the errant throw by Brock Purdy that would have been maybe a game-winning touchdown. Shout out Eddie, we did call it, but threw over Jawan Jennings there. What was that? What was I getting at there?
That was when Chris Jones got pressure on the lineman.
Yeah. Anyways, he blamed the Buford because he missed his block or whatever. He came out on Instagram and said something crazy like blaming him. And then the next morning, Buford wakes up and is like, I wake up and this is the first thing that I see you talking shit. And the guy said that he was hungover from the Super Bowl. So, 49ers are kind of, imploding a little bit maybe.
Yeah. All right, let's end it, boys. Let's do this right here. And I want to talk about your way too early prediction for 2025. Whether it be who you think is going to win the Super Bowl, whether Ben thinks it's going to be the Texans repeating to win the AFC South, whatever prediction you really like for next season that you have the vision for, give it to me. I'll start with you, Ron.
Check. Okay, it's my bad. I had my mic off. Give me the Lions and the Texans to go to the Super Bowl next year. That's my way too early prediction. Lions and Texans next year.
Lions and Texans. Okay, that's your prediction. Roland, what about you? What is your way too early 2025 season prediction?
Man, way too early.
Before Roland goes, and the Jets too, with Rodgers back.
Wait, Jets what? Just to win the AFC East?
No, there's like they're gonna be up there too, like those three teams.
Okay, you like those three.
Sorry. Go ahead, Roland. Sorry.
Way too early prediction. This is tough. I'm just gonna make it easy on myself. I'm gonna say the Chiefs are gonna be back in the AFC title game, but I'm gonna say their biggest challenge next year. I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals will have something to say next year. Joe Burrow will be back.
Where's my
And what
Bengals
about
at?
you? What's your way too early 2025 season prediction? Something you really are confident going into next season will happen.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that the Texans are going to repeat as AFC South champs, but I also think that they can. I think that their ceiling is the AFC title game. I don't see them in the Super Bowl, but I'll predict like a Texans versus Chiefs AFC title game. And then I'm with Ron on the Lions. I think the Lions do have the team, to get to the Super Bowl. I know the coach said it's always going to be harder next year to get there and whatnot, but they've got a lot of young players. And they've got a really good offense. OC stayed there. So I like the Lions to come out of the NFC.
Okay, I
I
like
like
those
Eddie's.
predictions.
Shout out to
I
Eddie
like
real
the
quick.
Lions.
Green Bay, man. Green Bay did really well this year. Too. Shit, they could have beat San Francisco. Let's not forget in that NFC Championship or that
Yeah,
playoff game.
Gabe likes the Packers also. Chiefs versus Packers.
Chiefs versus Packers is
I think
good.
the Packers
and
do take another step
Yeah.
with LaFleur and what they got with Jordan Love.
and teams that I'm all out on that I was hyped on this year, the damn Ravens, bro. I thought this was Lamar's year, and dude, yeah, I'm done. I'm off that guy.
So out on the Chiefs. Who else are you guys out on? Anybody else out on another
No,
team?
I'm out on the Ravens next year.
Out on the Ravens
And the Bills. The Bills ain't doing shit next year. I don't think so.
That I'm out on. I'd have to think about that. Probably the Dolphins. I mean, not necessarily like out on them because I think they're a good regular season team, but I think they're a team that you just know with their current makeup, they're not gonna, they're not really
their first season first round
contenders.
exits, guys.
Yeah,
I
the
like
first
that.
round exits. Yeah, they're pretenders.
They're like the Cowboys
yeah.
of the AFC.
Yeah.
In comparison, I actually believe that's exactly what they are.
I'll
Yeah,
also
and,
say that
I'm with my brother.
I think the Chargers make the playoffs next year.
With
That was my next
Harbaugh
question.
coming in, Chargers make the playoffs. AFC West.
Yeah, I like the Chargers. I'm a big Chargers hater, but I do see them playing, better football, more disciplined football, and I think that they get in the playoffs.
All right.
Yeah.
What about number one overall pick? Roland, are you ready to go into that? Will it be Caleb Williams?
Oh man, I'm interested to see what happens with the pick itself. If the Bears are the ones that actually end up making that pick, or if they get somebody to go up and try and trade for that number one pick, because we know we don't know, I guess, how they feel about Justin Fields. But as far as who the player that I think is going to be drafted first, regardless of the team, I still think it's probably going to end up being Caleb Williams. I still think it's him. There was a little bit of negative press, but I still think that with him, the proof is in the pudding. He's still has a lot of tape out there, and I think he'll be the number one pick. Although I do like Jaden Daniels. If I were to make the pick myself, I like Jaden Daniels out of all the quarterbacks out there, which hopefully we get to talk about here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, the thing for me that's been the craziest with this draft is the Spencer Rattler talk. How much he's going to be booming up these boards. I can't believe that we're doing Spencer Rattler all over again. I thought what we seen through college was enough.
I'm not doing any Spencer Rattler. I'm not doing any of that.
If you've been reading through it, you've been seeing like the trends up on him, and I cannot believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he did
the one
South
Senior
Carolina.
Bowl game where he had 4 passes completed was good enough for these guys, I guess. That Netflix documentary really does carry. Well, boys, we will be back, I think, Thursday night for UFC 298 coverage. Me, Ben, Roland, possibly Ron if he's free. And, Ron, pitchers and catchers got a report soon. We'll be talking baseball.
Tomorrow.
NBA coming up. I mean, the sports is not over for us. We cover it all year long.
Shout out Wemby, first player since 1990 with the triple-double with blocks as a stat.
That's insane, bro.
And a dub.
10 blocks last night?
10 blocks, 27 points, 14 rebounds, 10 blocks, something light. Rookie of the year.
It's on the We Talking About Sports Instagram page, Justin, if you want to check it out.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning, I was like, did Ron or Roland do this post? I wasn't sure.
It was rolling. It had to be rolling.
Hey,
you know that Spurs is rolling.
Shout out my Spurs. Yeah, even got the little tag on the top too.
Well, thanks for tuning in, boys. We'll see you on Thursday.
Peace.
Later, guys. Thank you.